Now that we've shed light on the major blind spot causing modernization and transformation efforts to fail, I want to share with you 5 decommissioning costs to consider as you prepare for your modernization and transformation effort. Number 1, consider the cost to break a current service agreement. Whether it's a software as a service or SaaS agreement, a maintenance agreement for hardware, or even a managed services agreement, there is normally a cost involved in terminating the agreement prior to the end date. And it seems like without fail that the modernization and transformation efforts never syncs perfectly with the end of all your service agreements. Now, even if you decide to wait it out for the end of an agreement, there's either an actual or an opportunity cost involved. Think about the wasted money, impacts on your reputation and personnel, and more. Number 2, consider the cost of discovery. Now, discovery here is uncovering everything that the tech is touching in the form of users, teams, organizations, systems, other tools, and more. The bigger and longer the tech has been in use, the more time and effort you will need to spend in discovery. Yes, you can just unplug everything and see what happens. And I've seen that done. I don't recommend it. But of course, there's always a cost to doing this, and it's usually significant. Therefore, it's not a good idea to simply pull the plug on tech without doing the due diligence of understanding the impacts first. Number 3, think about the cost of untangling the mess. Once you understand the magnitude and impacts of the decommissioning through your discovery, then you will have to embark on a journey of doing the work to prepare for the decommission. And yes, it's normally a flat out mess, especially in larger organizations and in situations where the tech is critical to operations. Untangling the mess could be meeting with all the stakeholders to understand the repercussions and develop a plan of action. It could literally be tracing all of the power and network cables to one piece of equipment in a data center to make sure you've accounted for everything. Then systematically contacting all of the stakeholders, setting up meetings, and finalizing a joint way forward after decommissioning that piece of equipment. Or it could be an entire system where you're doing this with dozens or hundreds of stakeholders. Anyone that's worked through untangling the mess of decommissioning knows exactly what I'm talking about, and it probably keeps you up at night. Number 4, you must account for the cost of actually removing the tech from operational use. Up to this point, we've been scoping out the work before the work. Now it's time to account for the actual work of physically decommissioning the tech. Now, that's whether it's software and you're removing code from production, or hardware, or an entire system. Whether you do the due diligence of understanding all of the repercussions of decommissioning, or you simply pull the plug like we discussed before, there's a cost to removing the tech from operational use. Think about something as simple as the time it takes to cancel all of the services and coordinate final billing, etc. Or on the other side, or the other end, all of the tools and labor and everything involved in removing a piece of hardware or an entire system from a data center, and then everything in between. Lastly, number 5, consider the collateral damage of the decommission. While the goal in modernizing and transforming your tech is always for the good of the organization and its stakeholders, there is always collateral damage. In fact, the more critical the tech is, to your operations, the greater the collateral damage. There is almost always something you missed or something you just couldn't have accounted for. Even if you cross every T and dotted every I, there will still be collateral damage. Think about the cost to customers, other teams and organizations you work with, your reputation, and more. There's always someone that'll scream the minute that you decommission something. Now, what's the cost of the scream? It's one thing if the person screaming is like an intern, but what if the person that screams is the big boss? Or worse, a very important customer or stakeholder? Consider other systems that may be impacted as well. The last thing you want to do is decommission tech and find out that it was connected physically, code, whatever, to another critical system, and now you have an even bigger problem. Decommissioning tech is not trivial. So get some help to make sure that your modernization and transformation efforts do not fail.